Welcome to Mr. International, for the dreamers who feel too much and want way more. I'm a lawyer who hates being a lawyer, and this podcast is my exit plan. Mr. International is a self-help travelogue for empaths, wanderers, and anyone craving freedom from a life that, well, doesn't quite fit. I'm trading courtrooms for countries, burnout for balance, and skepticism for the law of attraction. Each episode unpacks the emotional side of travel, mindset shifts, manifesting a new path, and what it really takes to rewrite your story. One passport stamp and perspective change at a time. What is up, everybody? Mr. International up here in the heezy. It is Saturday, I think it's the end of the month, May 31st. Holy crap, where did this month go and where is this year going? It is totally true that as you get older, time goes faster. But what's interesting is even talking to people that are less than half my age, even they are noticing that time is going faster. So I tend to wonder if, in fact, time is going faster, or is it the fact that now that we're in an era where people are always running around and on social media and not stopping to smell the roses, as you will, or as it were. Maybe time is passing faster because people aren't taking a breath to just slow down. And that's the topic for maybe another show where I'm going to discuss how you can slow time down, but it's going to involve you going somewhere different, to a smaller town, to an island, and you'll find that the passage of time is markedly different than if you're in a big city, for example. It's actually quite fascinating. So, as I mentioned, today's Saturday. It's been an interesting week, a much better week than the previous week, where things were really crazy. I was just having a meltdown. Welcome to the practice a lot. Really, I think in many ways fucked with my head, or if maybe I already had a fucked up head and that kind of opened things up even more. I don't know. But this current week was much better. I ironed things out with my business partner, and a lot of some healing to do there. And I stood up for myself with these psychotic bankruptcy clients. At the beginning of the week, I have this one guy who sends me an email I get an email from him on Monday earlier this week saying, "Hey, I've been emailing you all week. I really want to talk to you." And I just really emailed him back saying, "Hey, I don't work on the weekends and I certainly don't read emails, but I can talk to you on Wednesday." And even though I was free, I gave him a couple days down the road. Just because you can't get sucked into people's crises. I'm not a 911 operator. I did operate like that for a while with my law practice at the beginning, when I was naive and in some ways hungrier. Like I wanted to bend over backwards for customer service. But then I realized, especially with bankruptcy people, you can't really bend over backwards because they'll just go to town on you. Because a lot of them, they're looking at you as a life preserver. And imagine if somebody thinks you're a life preserver, it just opens the floodgates for them to call you on nights, weekends, and they couldn't care less about your own life. I remember once I had the flu, and I remember earlier on in my career, I was finding myself getting sick a lot, like little colds and stuff like that, when generally I rarely get things like that. And this time I got the flu, and it was just, I realized in that retrospect, it was just from the constant stress. It was knocking down my immune system. And I just remember I woke up one day, I had the flu, and this client called me, and he was really angry because I guess the bank had frozen his accounts, which, that's what they do when you don't pay them. And he was all mad, not at me, but he was all mad. And I was like, "Dude, I have the flu. There's nothing I can do right now." And he didn't care. He just wanted me to do something, and it sucked. Right. And back then I didn't know how to put up barriers or boundaries. What I should have done is just not answered my phone. Now it's great, right? After hours and on weekends, I just put my phone on silent. I used to have this paranoia that, oh God, I don't want to miss a call because, what if it's that one big case that retires you? And I've just learned in life that I have had to change my way of thinking. Like for example, yesterday I was helping a friend move and I put my phone on silent because I had so many things going on. And sure enough, I did miss a call. I did miss a call for a new a new injury case, and who knows how much that would have been worth or not worth. And unfortunately, the person never called me back. So, that's one of the problems in this game because there's so much competition. You want to get that hot call. You want to pick up the call and get the caller on the first ring because often they're calling around. So with that being said, I missed that call, and that would have really irritated me that, oh shit, I missed that call because I was doing this other thing. But I've just started to accept I can't do 10 things at once. And so I'm also moving off of being so concerned with getting every single client. It's like a bus. Every time you miss a bus, there's going to be another one just coming around the corner. Similarly, I have this bad habit. I eat a lot of almonds, and invariably after like 5 or 10 minutes, I feel them like at the top of my throat, no matter how much water I drink. Anyhow, bear with me. So the week went pretty well. It was surprisingly smooth, even though we fired this complete numbskull of a human being. I kind of thought, oh shit, now we're down a man. Well, 1/10 of a man because the guy wasn't really doing much work. But I was really worried it was going to be chaotic, but it wasn't. It was actually pretty smooth and smooth runnings because, at the end of the day, you can run a company way smoother with 4 working, efficient, and intelligent people than you can with 4 working people and 2 complete idiots. The 2 complete idiots just cause so much disruption because you don't know what they're doing, what they're not doing. They're never doing what they're supposed to be doing. So you end up diverting such an incredible amount of resources trying to monitor what these idiots are doing. So it's better to have a smaller team that you can trust and that's doing what they're supposed to be doing, as opposed to these flat tires that you can add to your team. So this week went surprisingly smoothly, despite the fact that we fired this dumbass last week or the previous week. So that, and I wanted to follow up with you guys on these dummies that were also harassing me. I stood up for myself and said, yeah, you have 2 options if you're going to talk to me like that. You can have your fucking filing fee back because apparently you're so obsessed with not paying me, and you're so obsessed with not even paying the court to process your case. Then you can have it back and you can figure it out on your own, or you can finish this case with me and I'll do it provided you're obedient and not being an idiot when you talk to me. And not surprisingly, I guess they realized they couldn't control themselves and they desperately needed the money. So they opted to take the money back. And I was actually very, very happy to give it to them because I don't want to have anything to do with these people. They just bring you down. They bring they suck the energy out of the room. They're calling you night and day as though you're like a 911 operator. So these are some of the problems with, being a lawyer. The desperate people. And that's definitely why I'd moved away from doing bankruptcies, because I'd say 2 out of every 10 people, maybe 3, they're operating in an emergency room mode. And guess what they do at the emergency room? They charge you $50 for a Q-tip because, hey, if you want to put pressure on us and do things last minute, then it's going to cost more. But the problem is, in the world of bankruptcy, you're also dealing with people that don't have much money, if any. So they want this top-notch, perfect service from you, and they don't want to pay you. And so that's why I kind of moved out of it. And I never really enjoyed it anyway. So these people that I'd kind of given the option to, this is dating back 2 episodes where the lady sent me that really rude email. After I give them 2 options, you can screw off and here's your filing fee that you'd given me to pay the court, or you can let me finish the case peacefully. They opted for the filing fee back, which, as I said, I'm glad to do so I can move on with my life. And the funny thing is, I had one of them, the husband, blocked on my phone because he was calling all the time like a nincompoop. And I guess he called me from another number, and I don't know why I answered the phone. I have a bit of an addiction that I'm really working on, and the addiction is answering my phone. I have this really bad habit of answering my phone even when I don't really want to. Now I'm getting much better at it. Like if I see a phone number I don't recognize, I'm definitely not answering it. Or I'm trying hard not to answer it. I did on this occasion because I kind of thought it was another person calling. And it was him. And the funny thing is, he wasn't even mad because I did send them both a pretty harsh email. I told them they're acting obnoxious and stuff like that. Sometimes that's a problem. You have to treat and talk to adults that are older than you like they're childish little 2-year-olds. So with that being said, yeah, he just said, yeah, could you send the money to us via Zelle? I'm like, yeah, I'll send it to you sometime tomorrow. And so I sent them the money on Friday. Now here we are on Saturday, and I'm getting a phone call from the guy. And it's like, dude, I have nothing to talk to you about. And it's like, it's a fucking Saturday. Leave me alone. And if you're going through a really hard time, go talk to your psychiatrist or a friend. But I don't care who you talk to. Just don't call me. No doubt they probably need my help again, and I ain't giving it. So there's that. So you can see the kind of negativity in this industry. But otherwise, things are good. I'm gearing up for my next trip. It's going to be lots of fun. Going to check out Hong Kong, Boracay, in the Philippines. Excited. I've been wanting to knock Hong Kong off of my list for years. And then COVID hit. They used to have really killer deals flight-wise from LA to Hong Kong. I'd seen return flights from, $400 or $500 routinely. Return meaning like round trip tickets, which you may think is crazy, right? Because you can't even do that going to New York from LA sometimes. So when COVID hit, that kind of shut down those plans to go to Hong Kong. But now I'm revving up again. So I'm very excited to check it out. So beyond that, today was a peaceful day. It's starting to get really hot. But I do want to chat briefly about what I've been wanting to talk to you guys about for a while, which was my trip to Turkey a little bit, and how weekends are something you really should use to focus on yourself, to rest, maybe run some errands, and do your hobbies. I don't follow any religion, but one thing I'll say most religions got right is that at least one day of the weekend, and I think both, frankly, should be for just rest. Because when I used to work on the weekends, and even though I wasn't working all day on Saturdays and Sundays, actually I used to be working on Saturdays when I first started at this law firm I was at. And again, back then I kind of enjoyed it. It was a little bit exciting. But because back then I had the wrong mindset that you had to work really hard, like long hours and running around to earn money and to be successful. But that's not the truth. That's not reality. And so, now that I'm, more mature, more experienced, if you will, I've learned that you can go at a good pace and enjoy your weekends. And I even taper off Fridays early and still, well, hell, you can do even better. You just have to be smarter about how you do things. And so one thing I have learned is I definitely stopped working on weekends. Even when I have free time and have nothing to do, I will purposely not work. What would happen is when I would work on weekends, and the type of work I do is, I never noticed it, but it does take a lot of mental energy. Even though a lot of these things come easy to me, it's still like you have to focus a lot, right? Because unfortunately, the biggest part of this profession, that's the worst part, is you have to constantly be a perfectionist. And the problem with that is when you're always on, meaning you're always on, like paying attention to every detail and making everything perfect, it spills over into your regular life to the point where you can't even have a hair out of place because you're just so used to living a life where every box has to be crossed or checked, rather. Every T has to be crossed. Every I has to be dotted. It's not like when you're finished working, quote unquote, now you can just let loose. What ends up happening is this perfectionism spills over into all areas of your life, to the point it can just affect your mental well-being. It can definitely affect your relationships, everything, because you start noticing the flaws in everything. Because that's kind of what you're trained to do as a lawyer. You're kind of like flaw finding. And the problem with that is, I bet you, if I were to guess, I bet you cosmetic surgeons probably have the same issue. Surgeons as well, actually, because of the nature of our industry, or industries rather. So the important part of the weekends is that it gives by not working, it's letting your head refocus on other things. because what ends up happening is I would find myself like Monday getting really edgy and agitated easily over little things. And it took me years to kind of put two and two together that, hey, wait a minute, why am I acting this way? I just thought it was normal. Like I was just getting pissed off with everything all the time. And it was really because I wasn't distracting myself on the weekends to do other things that I really wanted to do that were good for me, like my own hobbies, whether that was, I wasn't doing podcasts back then, but just doing a podcast. For me, I love it. I don't know if zero people are listening to this or a million, but I just enjoy doing it, and I'm gonna just keep doing it. Like it gives me something because it's a creative outlet. Recently, my partner too, he in my legal practice, he's taking up photography. So now his big thing is like taking these amazing photographs, while he's on the phone, and he's found that's helped soothe his mind too. I know that's shifting a little bit away from working on the weekends versus not, but now things are like way better because I just stopped working on the weekends. If somebody has some emergency, I'm like, that's nice. I'll talk to you maybe Monday if I have time, maybe Tuesday. And I just kind of ease my way into the week because, everybody knows Mondays are usually pretty hectic. So I'm gradually changing that game too. I avoid checking email until, in the afternoon maybe, because I don't want to start my week off on some person's fake emergency that happened over the weekend. And now I have to carry that with me because I've never been very good at like reading an email and then just walking away from it. Like I feel like it sits on my shoulders. And so I have a friend who does something really unique up in Ottawa. What she does is actually, what she does on Monday mornings? She's self-employed too. She actually watches a movie. I'm like, what? It sounded so out of left field. I was like, you what? She's like, yeah, I watch a movie. And she said it's great. And it makes so much sense because whatever emergencies people had that built up over the weekend or whatever, they've usually resolved it on their own by the afternoon, without you having to get involved. And it kind of just like makes you ease into the week also. So I haven't got to the point of watching a movie, but when I wake up on Monday, but I am getting into a smoother routine of doing some gardening, believe it or not, in the morning, trying to craft some healthy smoothie of the week, of the day, and purposely, obviously, not checking my phone. And these things are all about balance, right? And trying to like create that boundary, especially when you're doing this type of work that requires a lot of gears to be, turning in your brain and thinking and thinking and thinking. So that's why weekends, what I found is now that I don't check emails on weekends, now that I turn down talking to clients on weekends, etc., I found my weekends much better. I'm definitely a happier person than I was, years ago. I do wish I was quicker to change. I think back then too, part of the problem is, you're building a business. And so you're like, I don't want to miss that next call. It could be, and the thing is, it was probably not the right thing to do because it's not like I was broke or anything. So I could have missed a client or two, but I guess I had this unhealthy obsession with just trying to like always get the next client and build and build and build and build. I got sucked into that same thing I criticized for years, which is that proverbial rat race, right? And there's no end to it. Like there's literally no end to it. And you just have to realize that, hey, if I miss this call, there'll be another one. Like the business isn't going to end because I missed a friggin' potential new client. And the other thing I found too is not that I had to talk to clients on weekends, but the other problem I've noticed like clockwork is as soon as you let a client talk to you on a weekend, I guess psychologically it opens this door to them thinking they got you. And if not thinking they got you, at least they feel too comfortable now to thinking you're just there at their beck and call. Nights, holidays, weekends, too early in the morning. Like I've gotten calls at 7:30 a.m. before, believe it or not. Hell, I got a call, I'm not even kidding, at 5 a.m. I think I don't remember if it was last Monday or the previous week. Somebody called me at 5 a.m. Now, I don't even know how they got through. I had my phone on silent. So I think there's some setting in my phone where if you just keep calling, it gets through. And I didn't even check the voicemail. I literally just blocked the phone number, because if somebody's calling me at that time of day on my personal cell phone, you can officially never call me again. That's what you get for that. So that's why these boundaries are really important. And when I look back on the years of practicing law, I don't know how I was so slow to adapt and to set these barriers up. It was like I felt very, I guess, it goes back to my days of being a people pleaser, which took me years to realize I was, and always trying to please and whatever. And over time, I started thinking, dude, I forgot who I was, in the sense that I think I'm a pretty intelligent guy, like way more than even your average attorneys. And, things come to me easily. I'm not trying to boast, but I thought I'm borderline holding myself below bankruptcy clients, because back then that's all I was doing. I'm like, these are bankruptcy clients. The bulk of them can't add 2 + 2. They're in financial ruins. They've made terrible decisions, but I'm like acting as though they're the client. They're always right, and I got to take care of them. And like they'd lie about shit. Oh, we gave you these documents, when they never had, and I'd have to pretend like, oh, well, maybe they got lost. I mean, it took me some time to be like, you never gave them to me. Go check your emails. Like, it took me a long time to just even have the courage to speak the truth to people, right? Because these people are always trying to take advantage of you, or they're afraid to avoid acknowledging their stupidity, which is what usually has put them in their positions that they're in. In some ways you can see why I've kind of parlayed out of bankruptcy, because now I carry a grudge towards bankruptcy clients because of what a lot of them had to, put me through, and a lot of them were abusive, and I put up with it. And but I've always said this, that's on me. That's my failing, not theirs. So whatever job you're doing, I highly suggest, try to take a break on the weekends. It's just not feasible for you to always be grinding. If you love what you do, I think you should still take a break on weekends, because I think it's better for your mental health. And it's important to have hobbies and stretch your mind, stretch your imagination, experiment with different things, because the problem is it's not even good for your long-term mental health if you're always just doing the same thing over and over. It just becomes routine. Take up photography, go learn how to, I don't know, put up drywall, fix your drywall, or go paint a room in your house, do some home improvement, or go decorate, do something that gives you an outlet. So that's all I wanted to talk to you guys about. Shit, man, I didn't talk about Turkey again. This is turning into like Jimmy Kimmel Live, who always says he ran out of time to interview Matt Damon. You can Google that one. He always says that. It's like almost just an ongoing joke. But I guess we'll have to talk about Turkey on another one. I just did want to get this personal weekend stuff out of my mind, off my chest. So I hope you take something from it, and stop listening to this now and go do something else. And I will talk to you guys on the next one.